Recording in
Morning, everybody.
progress.
Today is Thursday, October 3rd, 2024. We're here for a work session. If we could all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Bob, would you want to lead us?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Bob.
Pleasure.
Okay, we have three items on for open session. We're going to go to item number 2 right now and start off with planning matters surrounding industrial districts code amendments, rezoning pursuant to the comp plan update. And that will be with Dawn Thomas, Matt Charters, and Heather Trojanowski. Good morning.
What's everybody doing today?
So the fun part of the comp plan has started.
This is the fun part.
Right.
Well, it's the fun part for me. I don't know if it's the fun part for anybody else. All right, so on Monday and yesterday, I distributed everything to the board. Quite a lot, a little dense, but it shouldn't be a surprise to anybody what we're going over. I'm just going to summarize kind of what we're trying to achieve today first, and then we'll go through the code sections. Obviously not everything, because there's just a lot of tweaking to some sections, and then we'll look at the proposed map amendments. Okay, so as discussed Monday, we are amending the dimensional regulations of each zoning chapter to be consistent with which was studied in the GEIS. We'll be merging Industrial A and Industrial C to create a new zoning use district. That'll be called the Calverton Industrial Zoning Use District, otherwise known as CI. We clarified some language within the zoning code. Industrial A, B, and C will be eliminated from the code. We're rezoning industrial areas outside of the new CI zoning use district to light industrial. So if the board doesn't know already, light industrial already exists in our code. The only place that it's mapped is the Stony Brook Incubator, which is next to EPCAL. It's actually a very good code. It's got some design standards, so we're looking to utilize that more. We'll be migrating all of our permitted, specially permitted, and accessory uses out of each chapter into what's called an industrial district table of use regulations. So that's within your packet as well. We're adding definitions for certain uses, updating the zoning map pursuant to the recommendations of the comp plan, and then amending the commercial schedule of dimensional regulations, so to take some stuff out, and then also amending the TDR code. So it's a lot.
Yeah.
But
Did a lot of work.
It was happening in the background as we were going. So the first section, if you guys have what is attached, is the Calverton Industrial. So the first part of that on page 1, we really just, sort of massaged the purpose and intent of the chapter to meet the new need. In terms of uses on the first page, this is what I'm talking about, where all these uses are coming out. So it's on the screen as well. That's all being deleted on page 2, and that'll be going into the use table. Some other changes we made in the chapter to the bulk and height requirements. So there's now going to be a 30% open space natural area on these parcels, where it used to be 20. We have supplementary design standards now. They're no longer just guidelines, because they're really important. We don't want people to sort of work against our code. I think it's important that we hold true to this.
And then just asking, so when we now increase up to 30%, like that, but are there any TDRs? Can they go more height or anything other way to get a better tax base?
Yeah, it's a
so just so that as we go along, we don't scare people. There
Yeah.
are options that we can still get the same tax base, right?
Absolutely.
But we'll still get the pristine
Correct.
area around.
I think we get both. It's the best of both worlds, in my opinion.
That's what we want. Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
Can we just go back to page 1 real quick?
Sure.
So the first paragraph says that the district allows and encourages commercial recreation businesses, but then in the second paragraph, number 10, it's striking commercial sports and recreation.
It's
so all
striking
that's
all
getting
the
moved
uses.
into a table.
So all your uses are
Okay.
coming out and going
So
into the table.
if you look at the use table, there are recreational uses in there.
I think one of the pet
Okay.
peeves we have with the way the zoning is written now is that it has this very limited list of uses. And then the zoning officer is tasked with it doing interpretations, and sometimes a use comes in that doesn't really fit into a classification perfectly, and it leaves us with going to zoning board, and that's kind of a waste of time. So we wanted to give a broader list of things that Greg can use to fit something into a slot and make it quicker and easier. It's a standardized table. Matt will talk about it, but There was
Thank
a
you.
method to the madness.
Exactly. All right, so back to page 2. Everything, uses, prohibited uses, especially permitted uses, all come out and they're going to be migrated into the use table. I talked about the 30% in terms of the guidelines and standards. If it's going to be a campus-style development in this zone now, we're asking that no individual building is bigger than 50,000 square feet. There's going to be a new transition yard requirement, so that'll be a 50-foot transition yards in the zone where the only thing you can basically have is a driveway, sidewalks, and signs. It's going to have to either be landscaped or maintain an existing buffer if there's a natural buffer there. And then off-street parking will be prohibited within the 50-foot transition yard and within 20 feet of any of the property lines. That'll be side and rear, and then no more than 10% of the parking will be in the front yard. Because you're driving past a nice developed area, you don't want to stare at a sea of parking, but we understand certain businesses, there will be people in and out, so a little bit of parking in the front's not terrible as long as it's not all of it. The next section you see is the light industrial. So as I said before, this is already in the code. We just sort of molded it in to be more effective. So this will be in the areas that are outside of CI. So that'll be in the Manor Lane area. I'll touch on the maps when we get to that next, but basically
Pulaski Street,
Pulaski Street,
West Main.
West Main. The areas, it used to be industrial C.
Right.
So it's sort of the low intensity industrial zones, and now it'll be light industrial. Again, uses are coming out, going into the use table.
The thing I just want the public to
Yeah.
understand
Yeah.
from both of these, in the CI and the light industrial, is in neither one of these areas will there ever be last mile fulfillment centers.
Correct.
So that everyone in the public understands and realizes we are not building Amazon warehouses
That's
in either one of these zoning areas.
On page 7, it talks about building design. This is stuff that existed already, so I think it was really important to capture, because some of these industrial zones are in more residential or rural areas, so we want to be conscious of the design of buildings.
Environmentally sensitive
Yeah.
areas, there are a lot of wetlands
Yeah,
in
so
some
that-
of the light industrial areas.
Correct, so
I have,
it's,
go
go
ahead,
ahead.
sorry.
You first.
I have one question on
Yes.
this. It's number 2C
What page?
and 7,
Materials.
the page
Yep.
you're on, where it says peak roofs preferred. And I know we had this discussion because,
Yeah.
and that doesn't preclude somebody from
Correct.
doing a flat roof.
Yeah, if they
Just as
needed
they're
it
preferred.
for the use, or if it's inappropriate where it looks nice, I think a peak roof generally just fits more within the aesthetic of
No,
Riverhead.
I get that, but,
Yeah.
I mean, for an operator, if
Yeah.
they are storing, and we had this discussion, if it's on pallets,
Yeah.
you're gonna lose a lot of your cubic square feet in that. That's all.
Yeah,
Okay, thanks.
and I think that's something that could come through the review, and if we knew
Okay.
something about the use, they would need a flat roof, I think we could go there, but I think the preference would always be to a peaked roof, just because aesthetically and design-wise, it's gonna look better in our, the rural character of what's
I
Riverhead.
get that, but there's also ways to be,
Yeah.
okay.
I think we're conscious of that.
One of the things that we talked about a lot is design standards and
Yeah.
how those things, if you do a good design and the architecture is good, it really can change the way people feel about it.
Absolutely.
And we can help it fade into the distance or not look as big, and those things are the things that planning's been really working on implementing.
Yeah, so in terms of materials, it already had some good stuff in the light industrial. We also, we added wood or wood appearing siding, so pole barn construction, so that's like your Morton building,
Right.
something that really fits with our ag character. In terms of, on page 8, also on buffer and transition yards, this is similar to CI, there's just a little bit less. So it'll have a 25-foot transition yard, same kind of preclusions from the front yard, and then the overall natural area in this zone will be 25%. We did add the parking standards into the code just by reference, so that's the next thing you see. And then with this, pretty much that's
Everything
the
else was
only
kind of
change,
already in
just
there.
some tweaks, really. That's pretty much it for light industrial. So the bigger thing, page 12, is your industrial district table of use regulations. So it looks like a lot. There's obviously a lot more uses listed. So what this does, this relies on the SIC code, Standard Industrial Classification Manual, so that organizes uses into use families. So each number on there corresponds either to an individual use or an individual use family. So as Dawn touched on before, if you say, my use is not listed on here, well, it'll give Greg or whoever is the zoning officer the ability to go in and say, okay, I'm going to look at the use family, and it lists X, Y, Z. So, oh, this is very similar or in the same use family, so he can interpret that it's allowed. There's a lot of uses in here. It's generally organized first by residential uses, so we're not allowing any new residential uses in industrial zones. Then it goes into residential community facilities, business uses, ag uses, wholesale business uses. So there's really a lot. It's a little bit more explicit than the code used to be. So if the board's not familiar, we used to have a use that was called wholesale business non-nuisance. That was essentially anything, because it just had to be determined to not be a nuisance industry, which I really don't know what that is.
Super subjective.
Super
Yes.
subjective. So this is really a lot more expansive, and I think it'll help a lot.
Yeah, and I think if there's something not listed there, the SIC gives you the use family and a list of
Yeah.
similar uses within that family, so it's easier to make determinations.
It's easier for us and for the public so they can look, or a potential developer to see like where they would fit in. Other towns already do this. Southampton does rely on the SIC code, and I think Brookhaven and Smithtown, they all also have a use table like this. So this is really bringing us up to where I think we need to be.
This is good, because this comes out of the government.
Yeah.
These SIC codes are used, I've used them on applications, on projects, so it's good.
Yeah, it's
It's
something
a standardized.
It's a standardized thing, so it's not super, it's not updated regularly anymore, but I don't think there's really anything on there that's an unknown. And I think, it's sort of set in stone, so we have something to rely on, not just intuition, so to speak. The next is what used to just be the light industrial district schedule of dimensional regulations. So now that'll have light industrial and the new Calverton industrial district dimensional regulations. So these are all consistent with the comp plan. So if you look at the CI line on the bottom, it's a 2-acre lot area, a minimum lot frontage, so that's your lot width of 300 feet. Front yard is 100 feet. The minimum rear yard will be 50. Minimum side yard is 30. Total side yard 60. The maximum building area will be 25% of the lot area. Maximum floor area ratio will be 0.25. And then this speaks to the TDR, which Councilman Rockwell spoke about before. That'll allow you to go up to 0.3, which is what was studied in the GIS for the comp plan. It gives the minimum landscaped area, which I touched on before, and the maximum height of 35 feet. We also increased the impervious coverage in this zone for CI to 70%. Conscious of there's going to be likely outdoor storage in this area. It has to be suitably screened, obviously, which is called out in the code, but to give them a little bit more impervious.
And that keeps it consistent with the 30% buffering requirement.
Yep.
All right, where can I make sauerkraut?
Sauerkraut. I think there
Remember
might
that
be-
in the old
Yeah,
code?
I think there's food.
It was
There should be.
banned
There should be like
Noxious.
Yeah, there's
food
food in there
processing.
now.
Yeah.
I saw a bakery.
Yeah.
You got me at a huge disadvantage because these are numbered,
Yeah.
and I marked up the first one, which had no numbers,
Ah,
but I do have some questions. So,
Yeah. Whatever
but
questions
you
have.
know it by heart. So.
Yeah. So the next is the commercial district schedule of dimensional regulations. So these are really just some things we're taking out. So industrial A and industrial C are coming off this chart because they don't exist anymore, or they won't exist potentially. And then it's taking out some notes, which were discussed in the comp plan. This is all related to townhouses. So if you go to the next page,
Very confusing notes.
very, very confusing notes that basically in certain zones didn't allow you to develop townhouses at all. It'll be note 7 is coming out, the minimum floor area of a townhouse shall be 900 square feet, so that'll now, the minimum floor area it'll be dictated by building code. And then notes 12 and 13, building lot coverage for a townhouse shall not exceed 7.5%, and then floor area ratio for a townhouse use shall not exceed 0.15, which those numbers, if you tried to ever develop a townhouse in, I think it's in the CRC zone and DC3, it's impossible to do.
Right.
I think it was a typo or something
Yeah.
at some point that.
Okay, on to the next is the TDR code. So we did add the Calverton Industrial. This is already mapped as a receiving area. I think it's the industrial receiving area. It was just never given a, sort of a metric to land the TDRs. So that'll be on the next page. It's new section K. Calverton Industrial CI. Preservation credits may be used to increase the development yield for site plan applications. and that'll be in 5,000 square foot increments to a maximum floor area of 0.3. Right now, the easiest to do is floor area ratio. That's what we've seen most. What people are asking for is more floor area. I think in the future, we want to do further study whether to utilize a TDR in terms of height. We'd have to address it at a future time. It's just, it's a hard thing to quantify and implement to make sure they're equal. Because if we're doing two different things, if we're doing cubic feet and square feet, we have to make sure the values are pretty much the same.
You can always take square footage, convert it to cubic square footage, right, and get a value.
Yeah.
The reason why I say that is because it really does give the town the opportunity, especially with the height, for preservation credits. I love the fact that we're going to 5,000 square feet because that gives the town not only preservation credits, but tax revenue.
Yeah, and we are conscious of that. It has to work for both sides. We need to preserve land, and there has to be some value that people want to buy it.
And maybe we can sit with Jeanette and have her do the formula for if somebody wants to go up in height.
Yeah, that's good. We can consider that. But this is the broadest, clearest way to do it at this point. So I think this is what we should stick with. Obviously, if we want to do it a different way in the future, we'll just have to go through that. Next are our definitions. So some of the definitions in the code weren't great. We're updating a couple of them, which are pretty self-explanatory. Floor area commercial is the big change. So it used to have, as you can see, a laundry list of everything that was exempt. Rather than doing that, floor area commercial now is going to be essentially everything that's within your four walls. That is your floor area, period, end of story.
Good idea.
Your elevator's not coming out, your hallways, your water fountains, all this weird stuff used to come out. So that's being revised to make more sense.
So common and usable are now one area.
Yes.
Which is good.
Yeah, well, it created an issue because if somebody got, a building built based on this definition of commercial floor area, and then someone came in to make interior alterations, if they change those exempt spaces, they're increasing the
Doesn't
floor
work.
area.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
easier to just keep it simple.
And it doesn't work with TDRs either. We've had that in one instance of the town.
So we now will have a definition for a last mile fulfillment center, a logistics center, a truck terminal, vertical farming will have a definition, as well as a true definition of a warehouse, and then a
That
wholesale
was needed.
business. Yes,
Yeah.
those
Definitely
all
needed.
stuff that was for sure needed. These are pretty simple to understand. This is the old industrial A. This will come out, but we're going to reserve the chapter for future code amendments. So that's all just a reserved chapter. Same thing with industrial B, which is on page 29. Comes out and just reserves the chapters. And then the last one is PIP. Yeah, so this change is just, it used to reference, if you're familiar in industrial A, it used to have a very long list of everything that was not permitted. It'll now say the prohibited uses are those that are prohibited in CI on the use table. For consistency. All right. Any questions about the codes before we go to the maps?
I do.
Yes.
I've got, but if somebody else wants to go first, I've got quite a few, because I really fell down on this.
Go for it, Bob.
So, one of the things that I notice in general is there's no provision for recycling for reuse. I see you took out transfer stations, but there's nothing for recycle for reuse, which I'd like to see in there.
Okay.
And a couple of examples, even though we lost the anaerobic digester, would be an anaerobic digester. Should they not go into Brookhaven, I'd love to see them come back to Riverhead. I'm gonna say it wrong, but
Pyrolization.
pyrolization,
Okay.
which would be covered there. And just to confirm that, because there is somebody that's looking at drone manufacturing, and that's not going to be an issue, right?
Not that I know of.
Can you
Anything
just
in,
check that?
if it's in EPCAL? Or
It would be it would be inside the fence.
yeah, so this doesn't change any of the uses in EPCAL at this point.
Okay,
It does
and-
eliminate the prohibited uses, but I don't think it would change.
And I
after
brought
the-
up yesterday,
Yeah.
because, as we all know, there's a need for pilots,
Yeah.
so it doesn't preclude a flight school.
It doesn't. So this is what's fun about this. It's a perfect example. There's a use on here. I think it says other schools not classified. It's like
And
an
that's vocational.
100. So if you open that up, it's all vocational school. Like some of the things they
Okay.
list are like finishing schools, hair schools, flight school is listed on there. But this is what I'm talking about. So you can actually open that use family and see, oh, what are these other schools they're talking about? Oh, it's this. So we can make an informed
Okay.
decision whether a use is allowed or not.
Excellent.
And just, Matt, again, for the public to understand, in both light industrial and Calverton industrial, also excluded are trucking terminals and transfer stations.
Correct.
It's not allowed in either one of those zoning
Yes.
areas.
So, the other question I have is, which is, and I was a little bit confused by this,
Which one? Are you on?
and that is, I am on the table of use regulations, zoning.
Yep.
So, when I go down here, it says public utility structure,
Right away, sewage treatment plant and water
Right.
supply.
and then it says, except wireless communication towers and
Yep.
antennas and satellite earth stations.
stations. Yep.
But in another section, so what do you consider Starlink that's going in?
Satellite earth station.
Yeah.
So,
That was the code amendment we did. So if you go the next one down, wireless communication towers and antennas and satellite earth stations, they're both allowed by special permit.
okay, why is that by special permit?
That's what the code allows. That's how it is now.
That's how it is now.
Yep, by special permit.
But
We have additional requirements that have to be met
That's
for
the
those.
answer my question.
Yeah, so
Thank
we have a
you.
whole
Okay.
code section that addresses those two uses.
You know, those are tricky because it could be zoned, but it could be near a residence or
Yeah.
things like that. So you'd want to be able to
Yeah.
condition the approval so
Yeah,
you can
visual
address
impacts,
any of
stuff
the
like that.
condition,
No,
you know, any of
perfect
the
sense.
impacts.
If you go down, third line up, 5012, automotive and other motor vehicles not permitted in light industrial. Why is that? Just like,
Well,
give me an
a
example.
lot of the parcels are smaller in the areas that are in the zone light industrial, and again, there are, like along Pulaski Street, there are wetlands and environmentally sensitive areas, but it's supposed to be a less intense, less permissive zoning than CI, so that's why.
No, I get that, but, I mean, couldn't you do that parcel by parcel? Because there are other swaths of light industrial land that are really large.
No, because it'd have to go by zone. It'd be
Okay.
too hard to do.
Answered my question, thank you.
Yeah, so and I'll
Okay.
expand on that use for you, Bob, just so you understand like, what that means.
It's under the wholesale business category.
Industrial, passenger automobiles, trucks, trailers, motorcycles, motorhomes, snowmobiles, ambulance, automotive, and buses sell to individual consumers for personal use and are considered retail, so this is wholesale. So if you're wholesaling other automobiles, that's why it's not, so if you're wholesaling RVs, all the lots in light industrial are pretty small, so you're not gonna really have room to
Gotcha.
do it, so that's why it's in
Okay.
CI.
All right. The one thing that's not mentioned is in a lot of these, in campus style, and again, and I really should be looking at the map, like off of Middle Road, right, where we have large swaths of land, right? There's no mention, and even inside the fence, for a restaurant. And when you go into industrial zones all over the place, there's usually a restaurant in there.
So if you go to the accessory uses,
Okay, where am I?
it's the last page of the chart.
On page 15.
All right, let me go to this one.
So this was something that was in the old code sections. So
It
you'll
says
see
within the building, right?
cafeteria for an office or other building when contained within the building or ancillary structure on the same parcel for the purpose of serving employees and their guests.
Right, but that's if you have, and I understand that, but if you have a series of smaller buildings, you know, and you have 100 employees, it may not make sense to have a cafeteria. So if there's several of those, I would, you know, urge that we allow some sort of restaurant facility that can service multiple buildings.
Yeah, I think that's something we can discuss. It just have to be limited to the buildings and uses, like the industrial parks, so the people who are working there.
Yeah, I mean,
Like
it's
a-
very
like a
common.
deli or something
Yeah.
within the area?
Well, you can have food
Exactly.
trucks come in.
It's extremely common, and I've been to
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
many meetings in industrial complexes, and they order food, and it comes like that. And they also don't, you know, they don't want their employees necessarily driving out,
Yeah.
looking for something.
Well, and you don't want the
coming
public to necessarily be going into a heavy industrial park to go to
They,
a restaurant. eat.
and
You gotta
generally,
fill the workers there.
you don't, you don't look for a deli in an industrial park. Okay. Let me just see. I would like us to explore a provision for organic fertilizer production, which is something out of Stony Brook, which is off the top of my head, which I don't have right now, but they process leaves and stuff like that, different things, and they're actually producing organic fertilizer. So I just don't want, there's so many things on the horizon. I just want to make sure that we
Yeah.
really are.
Understood.
The beauty of the chart is that by going to the use family, it further expands
Yeah.
on what's
That-
already.
that's-
Yeah, so
Okay.
even if you look at something and you're like, oh, it's not there,
I
you
get it.
could
Okay.
look for a similar use in that use family, and I think it gives you the ability
Okay.
for us to get there.
It'll be interesting to see 20 years from now what is new,
Yeah.
what technology is out there, and what it'll be, and we'll be looking, people 20 years from now will look at this and say, really? Why didn't you guys think of this? Or why didn't you
Exactly.
cover for that? And it's like,
Yeah.
who knew? Who
Building
knew solar?
robots.
Who knew, you know?
I've always thought that zoning should be based on impacts, right? So every use would have a score. You'd have a heavy score,
Yeah.
and you could put heavy scores next to less heavy scores, but as long as you do the buffering, it's a different style of zoning. But everybody's so caught up in, on Long Island forever with, they call this Euclidean zoning, based on an old Supreme Court case. I don't like it. This is much better, what we're doing, than that. But it's a big improvement on that. It's the same idea, but it's better. So the next step is to really make it flexible like that, so that you don't have, but that would be a very
Yeah.
bold step.
It'd be very difficult.
And, a little unknown
Yeah,
territory.
for sure.
so.
This is so much more defined, and
this
there's
is-
so
yeah.
much more clarity to it.
Yeah, well, because before it would just like, they'd be like, oh, this is a wholesale business, and based on the
Or-
definition of what we had for a wholesale business, it would be permitted.
Or like
You don't have to have
permitted
the
uses,
chemical.
warehouses.
Yeah.
And, we didn't have those
Right, yeah.
fine-tuned definitions.
Speaking of wholesale, you have farm supply, wholesale, is by special permit in the CI area. Why would that be, since we are a farming community out here?
Just in terms of, I mean, it might involve heavier equipment, heavier, like supply of fertilizer and stuff. It just might be a more intense, noxious use. I mean, that's something subject to change if there's a majority of the board that wants to see that as permitted rather than specially permitted. I think it's important that you guys look at each and every use in here
Yeah,
so
I
you
have-
can
I
decide
have that same one.
what you think is appropriate to be permitted, especially permitted or not permitted. We went with like the broadest brush, what we thought was appropriate based on, the goings on of the town, what came out of the comp plan, what's noxious, what's not noxious.
I just think that because we are a farming
Yeah, for sure,
community, that our farmers should be able to have accessibility to farm equipment.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and I don't think this precludes them from doing that. It's just based on whatever the use is and how intense it would be. But I think everything's up for discussion in terms of how you want to allow it or not allow it.
I think there's a difference of having like a tractor, manufacturing, building or supplies, as
Yeah.
opposed to actually what fertilizer can physically be in terms of like fire standards and
Absolutely.
like protections of what,
Yes.
a massive warehouse filled with fertilizer goes
Yeah.
on fire. That's a very big different scenario than somebody that's building farm equipment and other things.
Correct.
So
Right.
Yeah.
I think at least a special permit would just address the fire codes on that to be, might become.
Well, wouldn't you address that anyway? You would address
Well, you
the
always
fire
do,
code?
but
Yeah, I mean,
does it need to be on,
cauliflower
does it need to be on a
sells
larger safety
fertilizer.
Yeah,
scale?
and that's
Home
the,
Depot sells it, Lowe's sells it.
But if you wanna, have management ability for when it's in a spot where there are things that really need to be handled, whatever it's close to and things like that. So for those uses that are more intense, sometimes a special permit's
more
Yeah,
appropriate. to have
but
special
the
permit.
fire marshal would, require what he requires the same way we would at Lowe's or at Home Depot.
Yeah,
or
just
the
on
Cauliflower
a
Association.
wholesale situation is just on a way larger scale, so that's why.
But with that,
Yeah.
you have,
Just tell me what the.
you had retail.
Yep.
Can't be more, it can be 10% of the FAR,
10% of
no
the
more
gross floor
than
area.
3,000 square feet.
Yes.
So I think we need to add in there, and I'm gonna kind of piggyback a little bit on what Joanne said. Let's say you had a tractor manufacturer, right? And they had a showroom, or somebody has a showroom with large equipment. So I think we need to add in there the word showroom,
Yeah,
because
that's
showroom
fine.
is not
Yeah, and I-
necessarily retail, okay?
Yep.
Because that could be an expanded space.
Right, I was thinking about the equipment, I wasn't thinking about fertilizer or
Yeah.
anything like that, and
Yeah.
that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, we can add showroom because that's exactly what we're talking about here. So like, you know, you go to a big,
And with the
I was
special
thinking
permit,
like John Deere.
yeah,
you know?
that's
Yeah.
exactly, that's what I
you
was
might
thinking.
show a
I
tractor,
wanted
but you're
that.
wholesaling them.
But beer, wine, and distilled alcohol beverages, special permit, why would that be a special?
So a lot of
And
traffic and
yeah.
trucking and traffic.
And also, I mean,
Yeah, it's a more intense use. So if it's wholesale, it's in and out more. Like I said, if there's anything you guys want to change, I think
Yeah, I mean, the
we get a
reason,
consensus. Yeah.
and I'd like to keep one thing in mind when it comes to trucking, which I know a little bit about. Trucks like to be off the road by 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. They can't survive being on the road during the middle of the day. How many semis do you see? Even you could ask Riverhead Building Supply. They're dropping off at 6 in the morning, man, and they're back. They don't want to be on the road. It's too expensive. Garbage.
Yeah.
You ever see a garbage truck at 10 o'clock in the morning? If you do, they're going out of business.
They don't pick my garbage up until like 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Where do you live?
Either.
They pick mine up at 10.
But you don't see them around all
Yeah,
day.
so the perfect example I can think of for that is like the Claire Rose. That's a huge operation. So that's what would be a beer and wine distribution center. So that's a lot of trucks in and out. That we think
even
would,
if it's during a confined time,
It's just-
it's
it's
the
volume,
number
yeah,
and
it's trips.
volume of
That's
trips,
how it's
not
I
necessarily.
would, I don't disagree with that, but I would say you really should take a look at what's in there and how many trucks are already in there, and the size of those operations, and the amount of trucks going in and out.
I just want to point out, like, a special permit is technically legally considered a permitted use,
Yes.
provided you check the conditions
Okay.
that are
you
listed in
enjoy
there.
the same
So it's
rights,
not
yeah.
that it's, you know,
It's not that you can't do it. I
correct.
get it.
It's really
I get it.
permitted, provided you meet the criteria that the board has outlined for managing impacts. That's it.
Yeah,
So,
Okay.
it's impact related.
I really like the aesthetics that are being required to soften the look of all of this. I
We
think
like it
that's
No, it's a-
as attractive as possible.
Yeah, it's about being a good neighbor too. So we understand people need to run businesses, and we want businesses in Riverhead, but there's also people who live here, so it's got to look good.
So, now, because I don't have your
That's
numbered
okay.
pages, I'm really sorry. 'Cause
I know where a lot of
I
this
did
stuff
this
is. Yeah.
prior to
Yeah.
your numbered pages. But the transfer of development rights.
Yes.
And I do hope that 1,500 is the magic number.
So
you know-
I'm going to speak with Greg. So Greg amended this. We do have other recommendations for existing zones, which I think we should just change now while we're doing it.
We
That's
just
an easy
started
thing to
with
do.
the industrial, but
Yeah.
I mean, if we're doing this, we can
Okay, I get
update
it.
to reflect the other
Industrial is, I think, is
recommendations.
spot on.
Yeah. So we were increasing the commercial too. The commercial's also going up per the town code per the comp plan recommendation. So I think we can probably do those now as long as it doesn't affect the new receiving areas that haven't been mapped yet.
That would be,
Yeah, so
I
I mean,
really
yeah.
appreciate that, because I think that's uber important, given the fact that we hardly sold anything since 2003, based on the fact that it wasn't good for the purchaser. And I love the fact that the more square footage we give out, so it's, okay, this is worth it. The town is getting the tax revenue, especially on commercial and industrial, which we so desperately need. On that page, you have on D, are you with me? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so on D, you put in there, second line down at the end, it says town board, crossed out,
Board. Right?
yeah, board crossed out.
Only because it says site plan application submitted to the town board, so this was implemented when the town board had every site plan application, so now they don't.
Okay.
Yes, we're saying
No,
the site
that's
plan
good to-
applications
no.
made to the town.
All right, so there's more.
I think it strikes that in every paragraph.
It does, except for J. And that's what I was gonna bring up.
Yep.
If you look at J,
Thank you. Strike that one, I think.
okay.
Actually, all of them. It should just say made to the town.
Yeah,
I feel bad, I feel like I'm using
No.
up all your time, I don't even want to ask any more questions.
No more questions, Bob.
Is that
That's
also
okay.
in each?
Yeah, I think it's in all of them.
So it should be
carry
the
through.
same in each section.
I want to hear about all this trucking experience that you have.
Oh, it's not, it's what's there.
I'm kidding. I thought that you used to drive a
I
truck or
used to drive a
something.
truck over there.
Any other questions on the
highway.
code before I go to the
My
maps?
favorite spot was
No, but we're gonna put a kitty up here, so now Bob's on the clock, he has to put a quarter in each for each question.
Can we do $1?
We're gonna charge. $1? Okay.
Well, if
charge you now.
I, you know, if I don't ask it now,
Oh, I understand.
Yeah,
No,
it's
it's
good.
good, yeah.
I spent a lot of time on
Intent was
this.
to make it the same.
Yeah. All right, so onto the maps. I think they're going to pull them up onto the screen so everybody can see. Okay, so the
After
first,
the work session, where will this be like regularly posted?
so it's posted on the work session
work
attachments
session
now, and then
documents.
when the board is comfortable with the final draft version, we'll obviously notice it. It's going to, for a
Be in
public
the
hearing,
resolutions,
it'll be in
yeah.
the public hearing like the notice to schedule the public hearing. With that caveat, I will say there will be a lot of public hearings scheduled because each one of these map changes will require its own public hearing. Each one of the code sections that we're amending will require its public hearing. So there'll be a lot to see.
Can we simplify on our, might not be a question for you, but maybe for Chip or something, on the website, like as things are being
Yeah.
completed, there should be a simple tab, like updated,
Yeah.
zoning, comp plan use, and then
I
you
think that's
click on
great,
it, and then,
yeah.
or even another one that
Maybe
maybe
as
if
the
it's
local
red,
laws
it's,
adopted.
if it's written in red, it's still in the proposed stages or,
Yep.
or public, so that, we just gotta make it easy for the public to
To
go,
see
okay,
where
I
it
see
is,
this
yeah.
is done and this is not, because it's gonna be hard to follow, like, where we're at as you're going on.
All right, so the maps. Thank you to Heather. Heather put all these together. So the first thing you see is the existing industrial A and industrial C in Calverton. And then we flip to page 2. That is the new CI district, everything within yellow. On to the next page is the existing industrial A, industrial B in Calverton and
Cromer Avenue.
And Cromer Avenue, so that's the Manor Road area is industrial A, and then up by the town's facility
Young's
on
Avenue.
Young's Ave is industrial B, and then Cromer is an industrial A on one side, and the other side,
Is DRC.
yep, DRC. So that'll all be changing to light industrial. Obviously, these are more, they're adjacent to residential areas, so this is where we're looking to land
Right.
less intense uses. So that Manor Road area will be light industrial, Cromer Avenue will be light industrial on both sides.
Meaning you could do recreation over there.
You could.
Yeah, with the exception of the parcels that front on 58,
Yeah.
the Barclay Erler piece, that's gonna remain DRC.
DRC.
But the remainder of the parcels south of that are already developed with industrial uses for the most part.
The next is the existing industrial C areas that are outside of Calverton. So these are all industrial C. Like I said before, industrial C was like a less intense industrial zone. This is all going to become, for the most part, light industrial, which is the next one. And then we're going to go on to some other map changes that were just, these are things that make sense, that were probably zoned incorrectly, that are just sort of hangovers that we're going to change now at the same time. So this is Robert Cushman Murphy Park. It was zoned industrial C. We're recommending that it gets changed to open space.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense for it to become CI, because
Yeah.
It's a park.
it's a park. It should be OSC.
Yep. Next page, page 8, it's the industrial C parcel south of the railroad tracks and East Main Street. This is county-owned parcel.
Yeah, it's reforestation,
Yeah.
so again, I don't see it being developed.
Yeah, the county owns it, so
Yeah.
that's going to be open space as well. Page 9, these are the industrial Z parcels on JT Boulevard. So if the board's not familiar, we spoke to this in the comp plan as well. North side of JT is all residential. South side, for some reason, is industrial C, despite those all being improved with
Single-family
single-family houses.
residences.
So there's a problem with the building department. People call, be like, oh, I need my accessory structure setback. And we say, well, there isn't one because you're industrial
Industrial
C.
C, right.
So it's a real hardship for these homeowners, so they'll be in a residential zone now.
Yeah,
which I
the
think is great.
RB40 matches exactly what's across the street for that
Yep.
neighborhood.
And then the next one is in a small area in Calverton on River Road. Also, these are, one of them I think is improved with a residence now. It was industrial zone, then we're recommending a change to RV40.
It's such a tiny, I don't even know if the public
Yeah.
can even see, it's that
Yeah.
teeny little pie.
Yeah, so
at
on the
bottom.
on the left side of the screen on the big map, it's that tiny little yellow outline,
Mm-hmm.
and then we're zoomed in on the right. To
Yeah,
make it
so just
residential.
to the, just across the train tracks, that yellow zone, that's RB40, and then to the west is OSC. But I think we've had, again, it's the same issue, people call, wanting to put an accessory structure on their property that's already improved with a single-family dwelling, but they're not zoned for that, and it just, these parcels are so small, and the way that they're shaped, I don't think they would fit within what we're looking to do in the CI
Well,
district, so.
and they're pretty close to residential.
I think they're in
residential uses, too.
WSRR also.
So it makes more sense for them to be residential. And then the last one is, this is existing industrial B in Calverton, so this is where the gas station is, over by EPCAL before 25A branches off. This is gonna be rezoned as Hamlet Center, potentially. Just, it's a very small area. This will give a couple of retail shops wanna go in there. There's, timber parks right there. People can shop, a little bit more of a Hamlet.
That's where the gas station just opened up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it was a gas station, it closed, they were doing renovations, and now they reopened. The land next, to
What do
the,
they become, like
east of it.
pre-existing non-conforming
Yeah.
gas station use?
Is it a
and
conforming use in Hamlet Center?
I'd have to
Yeah,
double check.
we'll have to
the
double
code.
check if it's conforming or
But
not.
the property to the east of that, it's wooded and it's been for sale for quite some time. It's never been developed pursuant to industrial B that's been in place since the last comp plan update,
Yeah.
so.
It's like a transitional area, so
Yeah,
it's a good,
makes a little bit more sense than having an industrial zoned area next to people's houses.
Mhm.
Than,
Great
a
job.
less intense commercial use. And that's it for now.
Quite a bit,
Quite a bit.
Quite
It's
a
been a
bit,
busy
but-
couple weeks.
but it flows so nice now. It's so much better.
Yeah, it was a collaborative effort. Everyone, we really kind of stuck our nose to the grindstone and got it done over the past couple of weeks. We've been working on it. Concepts the whole time we've been doing the comp plan, which really helped. So we kind of knew where we wanted to go. Just this is how we're getting there.
So, I would, can we have do the TDR committee meeting so we can really wrap that up?
I think so.
I
Yeah.
think they're trying to set one up,
Yeah.
according to what I heard this morning from Richard Wines. So-
Okay.
I mean, my question, is, we're going to amend the remainder of the TDR sections that came out of the recommendations of the comp plan. Are we gonna be mapping RB80 as a sending area right now, or can that come later?
That
Just
can
'cause
come
that's gonna
later.
take a
I mean,
little bit more
it
time.
might make sense to do it now. Well, I'll discuss with Greg on how we want to handle it best. But I think it's important to get those in the existing receiving areas, get the commercial
Yeah.
zones.
When we're looking at RB80, are we looking both north of Sound Avenue and south
I mean, it doesn't
of
list the
Main Road?
uses.
It does this.
In Jamesport?
It does.
Yeah, but
It's,
not the full
I think
list.
so.
Isn't that
I'll have to look at what the comp plan
Because I would like
recommends.
to make it,
Industrial friendly small
consistent.
Clustering
Yeah, I
campus
think
style.
that's important. Can we do
Where
that?
did you say, Bob?
So it's north of Sound Avenue is RB80,
Yeah.
and
Not
then
necessarily
south
allowed,
of Main Road
gas station.
in Jamesport is RB80.
Correct.
Where you have a little stretch of farmland there.
Across from, like Gabrielson's
Yes, the glass greenhouse.
glass
yeah,
greenhouse,
yeah.
yes, okay.
So, I think,
I'm just saying that.
they were on, I think we could wrap that up.
Yeah,
Okay, that would be good.
that's good. Any other questions? I know it's a lot.
Not right now, but there may
Wait,
be.
Matt, there's more.
Now, that's it for
What are you
today.
having for lunch today?
This is your first. This is your first look. It's the first look for the public. I want.
So that would have to be.
it's
I would say
important
you're
that-
like 95% there. You're going through this, using the SIC codes.
What are we doing there?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's like we're in the 21st century,
Yeah.
like little 15 years late, but we're there.
We're getting there. It's a lot more user friendly too.
It's great.
Because we're looking, like Dawn said before, you're looking at permitted uses. It would list like 5 uses per zone use district, and then everything is subject to an interpretation.
great.
Schedule that you'd
Yeah.
be like,
Yeah, but I guess this is wholesale based on our definition, but yeah, it'll definitely help. It's a big change, but
Just up at the Youngs Avenue, so now that gets labeled as light industrial.
Yep.
And I see so it's not transfer station, but I always hope that at some point we could do like a recycling center up there for the community as a whole.
So if it's
And-
gonna be municipally owned, I think that's a different question. If it's private, I think that's something you as the board would need to discuss, to consider if that's something you wanna allow in that zone. Because then once it's in light industrial, then it's everywhere in light industrial.
Yeah.
It's hard to carve out a specific area to say like, oh, it can only be in the light industrial zone if it fronts on Young's Avenue. Then that's one block, and then you're running the risk of spot zoning.
But I would just love to see that the old animal shelter would become like an education facility.
Yeah, I think
It
that's
could be a
different, yeah.
large scale like recycling center. I think it's an ideal place. It's right next to another waste management company or whatever, so you already have vehicles going in and out, so I think it's not.
Yeah.
But I just want to make it like, I think we've talked about an educational facility for recycling, for the community. We do mulching and so forth across the street. The highway department like drops everything off there. People should be able to go to a facility where they could actually pick that up and take it back to their homes, potting soil and other things that are made
Town-
from the leaves.
Yeah.
Town operated,
So,
or?
but what extent?
You think it would want to be, if it's municipal, then we have much more leeway whether it's allowed or not. It's when it's a
Do we
private
need to make any
business.
specifications in that now to
I don't
say
think
that
so.
could be?
No, I don't think so, because it allows, I mean, we could clarify maybe stuff in the use table, but, you as the town have broad authority in terms of what you're allowed to do and how you comply to your own zoning.
And I'm certainly not considering like an outside company for a transport,
Yeah.
but if we wanted to take, I'd like the towns eventually to get to a zero carbon footprint. So
Yep.
if we had our 5 municipal trucks went to one place to
Yeah.
then package up and then send it to another place, I can't imagine any other place in the town that you would do that. So
Mm-hmm. I don't think
if
it
you banned
pre-
it, you would
I don't think
essentially-
it precludes you from doing that on the town level if it's operated by the municipality. I'll say that broadly now. But if it's private, it doesn't allow it. And that's something you or the board would have to decide. That's the thing. What door you want to open or keep closed. All right.
I just want to clean up the property. It's just,
Understood. Yeah.
it's a major eyesore.
I know they're knocking the building down, they're just gonna keep the office section.
Which building down?
The kennel, the old dog kennel thing,
Who's knocking it down?
we are. At some point, the town is because
I was
it's,
a little aware of that.
falling
Why
apart.
are we not keeping it down?
No, they're keeping the office section. This is what B&G wants to do. They want to keep the office section for the guy who works the yard waste thing there, but he said the rest of the building is just falling apart. I'm just, FYI.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good.
Yeah, thank you, folks.
Yeah, great job.
Great
I
job.
know it's a lot, but if you have any questions
So
or need
much better.
specification,
Yeah,
do your homework and we'll get back to you and
Okay.
find it out.
excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No.
Okay, we are moving on to matters surrounding change to Chapter 217 and 263, penalty increases for no permits, with KERN and CERU.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Hello.
So, figure we'll start off discussing the no building permit, no CO.
Good.
As you can see, it's been a little bit since this code has been refreshed. It's like the last time it was amended was 1989.
Wow.
So, in order to hang our hats on why we're increasing the amount, so right now it's capped at 500, which means there's no minimum, and it's capped at 500. So it's very difficult in court. You always ask for the maximum 500. We get a little bit of help with the surcharge, but really it's got to be increased. So I apply the cumulative rate of inflation. So something that was worth about $500 in 1989 is worth about $1,300 now. So that's why we landed at the $1,000 minimum and the $3,000 maximum, so that, as time goes by, sliding scale of inflation, we don't have to change it so much. We can, climb up as that goes on. Also, why I wanted to have it as a minimum of 1,000 and a maximum of 3,000 is that, as we know, building permits, they vary. You know, someone putting in a goat pen and resolving it within 2 weeks court time is very different than someone finishing a basement for an accessory apartment and dragging the case out. So, you know, that would be the way I would prosecute those, is if there's a quick turnaround and it's a small item and they resolve it, it'd be more toward the 1,000. If it's, you know, it's a frequent bad actor, we'd be more up on the 3,000. And those go hand in hand with the COs, and that would be the same range for those as well. So just to get us to be able to, you know, bring it up to modern times and break even on these.
That's excellent. In fact, in light of the fact that we're going to allow accessory dwellings now, that will make sure that people are following code.
Yep. So, speaking of accessory apartments, I guess we'll move on to rental permits. This was recently updated in 2022, but as you know, in the past couple of years, the amount of money that landlords take in for rentals of houses and apartments is, I mean, it's in the thousands. So we just wanted to do a minor change on this, bring that up from, I believe it's right now, it's $500 to $1,500 for no rental permit. We want to bring that up to $1,000 to $2,000. Again, having that range, you know, case by case basis. And then second offense in the 5 years is 2 to 3, and then third offense with 3 to 6. So not much of a change on that, but just to really start having these fines as to make the town whole for the wrongdoing, and to also serve as a deterrent for people that are, you know, not doing anything through the town until they get a letter in the mail.
So my one question is, how do we tie the same offender together for multiple locations? So when you don't, if you are a landlord and you own 3 homes and you're not obtaining rental permits for all of them, and your one violation is home number 1, let's call it in Jamesport, and then you're doing the same guilty thing for home number 2 in Wading River, how do we tie it together that's really should be seen as a second offense to me? Because you've already, as an owner, or you know, you've already been informed that you need a rental permit. So I don't want to say, well, this is the first time I'm in violation in Wading River, but you know.
Right. So that would require a disposition on one of them before the other to be able to make it that they pled on one, and that it would be a second offense. I mean, we could coordinate that, but that's what we would be kind of stuck at, would be to, let's say, resolve the Jamesport case first, have the fine schedule for the first offense, and then move on and resolve the next case, and then have it, but there would have to be a disposition
Even if it's a
first.
year later, so you're convicted, you resolve fine number 1 in Jamesport, you found guilty, you did it, you've now been told the law.
Yep.
And now you go ahead a year later and you buy another home in Wading River and you don't get your permits. I wanted to see that as the second fine.
It would be,
That's
yeah.
what
If
I
it's the
make sure
same
that it's
defendant,
continued.
it wouldn't matter what the
It
location
doesn't have to be the
be.
same property, it's just, it's the actual offense regardless of the location in town.
Yeah,
It
as long
could
as it's
actually be the same property if there's been a
Yes,
conviction
yeah,
or
it could even be
adjudication
the
on
same
the first
property,
one.
as long as it's the same defendant, yeah, we could for sure, that would.
That's what I want, I'm just saying I want to make sure that multiple properties
Yes,
owned by the same individuals, corporation, or entities would be held.
yeah, 100%.
Okay. Because we know we got
Bob's
someplace
happy.
that it's the same thing.
Oh,
multiple
repeat
homes.
offenders are-
Exactly, so I don't want to say, well, we don't know about
Enormous.
this one.
Not yet. I'll tell you why.
Okay,
And I appreciate you did from 1989 till now, the cost of living, but I also would like to add in there, it's the cost of labor. So on the first one in B, I don't see why we're not going 2,000 and not exceeding 3,000. Just because if we amortize in the labor, forget just the CPI over that time, but also factor in the labor, I
I agree, and for something like that, I would, ask for 2,000 on. I just wanted to include the small structures, like your chicken coops, your goat pens, some stuff like that. So if we had a minimum of 2,000, then I would be stuck with that for the less egregious offenses.
Beautiful, okay, good. No,
So that's kind of,
So like a
Okay.
shed permit too?
yeah, like things like that, I
Right.
wanted there to be able to be some sort of wiggle room.
Yeah, you did say that, I'm now absorbing that. So in one, A1, is there a reason why we're not just going to 2,000 and 3,000 in one and then 3,000 to 4,000 in two? I mean, why are we being so, to me, they're lenient fines, but, you know, and I'm using your experience fighting these in court.
What's a rental permit cost on a yearly basis?
So it depends on bedrooms. I believe the
Yeah.
minimum, it's about $225 for one bedroom, and then it goes up with the fees from there. So I guess we didn't want to get too far away from,
But that's what I'm thinking, if we're comparing, let's say 2 bedrooms is now $550 a year, so if you avoid that, you're only gonna get, you know what I mean, that we've gotta hit them apart, or we gotta make them want to pay for the permit, because it's more financially.
Correct.
right,
Yeah.
And that's the thing.
Okay.
It has to be a cost to the business, not a cost of doing business.
Right.
This is, you know, I don't want it to be a slap on the hand and they go, okay, now I'll do my permit.
yeah.
I want them to slap in the head and they go, next time I'm doing my permit, because I
Right.
don't want to, you know.
Right, we had the discussion that if someone has a summer rental, they're bringing in about $30,000-$40,000 for a season. $1,000 or $2,000 is nothing out of what they're making on the rental of that house.
And which is why, you know, code could potentially go out there every week and issue these, and they can compile in that way. Obviously, that takes a lot more manpower and a lot more time to do that, but that's another way to kind of,
But yeah, to your point, so if we increase these fines now, and
Right.
then it makes it worthwhile for code to go back, you know, check in a week,
yeah,
right? And now we're up to, $4,000 because, you know, they've been hit twice.
so.
And a rental is going for, $3,000, $3,500 a month.
So we'd want to see, what I'm gathering from everyone is you'd want to see the rates that were for the second offense to be the first offense, and then kind of expand on that forward.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Also, I had a question. How often can you issue these violations? Is it daily?
I believe it's every week that it's noticed. I don't think it's daily. I'll triple
Alright.
check, but I'm pretty sure it's every week.
To Councilwoman Waski's point, that if
Yeah.
somebody has a summer rental,
needs to be in
we'll hit
there.
them up every week that they're in
Yes.
violation. If that's the
Yeah, and
minimum
that's,
time frame that we
yeah.
can do that.
2 to 3, 3 to 6, 6 to 8.
so the justice court can only collect a certain amount of money, so.
Before we hit Supreme Court.
Yeah, so I think that's why I left the maximum there, because I believe that's the maximum that can be collected by the
Is the
court.
max 5 or is it 6?
I think it's 5, but the code right now has it at 6.
That-
Which
I
we
think
would never
it-
ask
yeah.
for that, and it wouldn't become an issue, I guess, but I'll check with justice court to make sure.
But if it's
But I think
multiple
that's why-
times,
Well,
each
but-
one is 5, right?
Yeah, so they
if it-
can, it would be a separate docket, and you're allowed
That's
to
right.
get the max on
Okay.
each docket, so. Okay, so we'll do 3 to 4, and then 4 to 5, and then I'll check if it can go beyond 5.
Victoria, I just wanted to say thank you so much for working on these. You've been like fantastic.
Thanks.
Agreed.
So that's
Yes, ma'am, I agree.
what I got.
Very good.
Perfect.
And publish and post and move this along to a public hearing. I imagine. Thank you,
Excellent.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, matter number 3 for open session, it's matters surrounding pilot for pay parking. It'll be with Kevin Woods, Thomas, and Howard.
You did. That's all right. That's fine.
If you see that, just put your name down.
That's fine.
Shall I sit here?
Absolutely.
Here's some
Ooh,
physical items.
I think if you allow one
That
of them
looks
down at
good.
the top
Put
of the
them right in the
small
middle and the
Are
camera
you
will...
presenting evidence?
I am presenting evidence.
Okay, great. I see you have your attorneys with you. Oh, right.
I'll just do a quick intro. I know you all know Kevin. Kevin Woods Parking Management Systems. We have been working with Kevin because we know that what's happening downtown is going to generate the need for managed paid parking. As we've discussed, the parking garage is going to be a paid structure, so in order to implement paid parking in the parking garage, the rest of downtown needs to be managed. And we've been working on parking studies for the last It's now at least 4 years, just kind of getting a handle on what we have, inventory, how we use it, where it should be, where it's best used, what the time limit should be. And so when we knew we were going to have managed parking, we retained Kevin with grant funding to help us put that together. Kevin's done a tremendous job in the Port Jefferson Village, implementing their parking management, and he's a wealth of knowledge, and we've been exploring a lot of different things to consider, working with the stakeholders, the bid, the chamber, downtown businesses. Kevin's been doing all that outreach. The Parking District Committee has met with Kevin multiple times. He's brought a few guests in to speak to the committee about what's happening and in other places and how we can use those things here. And so we're getting to, it's time to test how this will work. And so we were looking at different ways to do that. It's been recently done in Greenport, recently done in Sag Harbor, tests of paid parking. And we think that it's best to test it when there's actual volume. So we looked at 1125, we couldn't get that to work out, but the country fair is upcoming, and so we thought not to test parking, managed parking for an event, but rather to test managed parking for just to see how it works and what kind of information we can gather. So we are sort of gearing up for that, and I'll now turn it over to Kevin.
Thank you, and good morning again.
Good morning.
So forthcoming to this board and the parking committee will be my comprehensive and hopefully the last report you see on parking for a long time. But as I've said before, that marries the 2020 and then comes forward to 2024, looks into 2025. The parts of that study that I'm still under wraps on is to study the actual, what you will end up with as a parking department, which is extremely important going forward, especially if, and it's not if, you are building a garage, multi-deck I like to call them. So that structure of management is extremely important. So I'm, as Dawn said, I brought a guest here, was very, very valuable, but from New Jersey. So we're speaking to, at this time, Albany and Nyack. The second part of that comprehensive report will be written and detailed surveys with real people on Main Street. So we'll have some real back and forth talks with, in writing, surveys about what parking means to them. And we've uncovered some, I think you'll see, some revealing items.
So we'll see if they get angry.
No, there's always, I'm not getting that feeling at all. They want a working system, and they understand what the future means. And then the third part of that would be a working test under our belts, which we could do. The last time I was here, we outlined something. There were about 21 steps to get from that something to, for example, that day, which would be October 13th. And we're working at it hard, that's for sure. So up on the screen, why do a pilot? So testing these systems will definitely be part of a bigger managed parking plan as Riverhead goes through their development process. We want to gather data to implement enforcement technology. There'll be a whole report on enforcement, but a pay-by-plate system would allow very easy enforcement and very detailed enforcement. We've talked about that before. We want to gather survey data from the public and businesses. We can do that real time with this pilot, and we want to add these results to the comprehensive report I just talked about. Your nearest municipality is now managing parking. You should know it's East Hampton, Sag Harbor, Port Jefferson, Patchogue, and Greenport announced a 45-day trial just recently. So it's not out of the question to do these types of pilots. This pilot would be a non-metered pilot, low cost. There would be no installation of meters, no need for electricity. It would be done through a scan-to-park system, which we developed, and would also be white labeled to Riverhead. I thought that was important. I don't know. You could put that up on the screen if you'd like.
Justin, can we zoom in on the sign on the table?
So we've gotten to the point in technology, yes, it's incredible, right? We talked about 90, 95, maybe 100% of people have telephones, cell phones. This is a very clean way to do this. Notice it's got it?
Yeah.
You you do it that way, you won't see the whole
Yeah,
sign.
let's do it
You
this.
can zoom, you can zoom.
He could widen it up.
Oh, okay. Right.
Now, can you zoom back, Justin, a little? There
There we
you
go.
go.
Oh,
Now we
and
can
then turn it?
spin Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I see what you mean.
There you go.
This is a 12 by 18 sign. To my side, I have the next size up. Depending on where these are located, we'll have the opportunity to use both. 12 by 18 is your standard DPW sign. This is coroplast. Since it is a pilot, there's no reason to go metal, but we could go metal. In the future, aluminum. Extremely easy and for it. Many people know how to scan for menus, and you know the reasons why people have done that during the pandemic and so forth.
Or text.
We're going a step further. We're also doing a text-to-park. Text-to-park will allow people that just have older phones that can't scan, and this is just a demonstration. This is actually live. You could scan that, but we're not up with our account yet for the town of Riverhead. They'll have the ability to scan the park or the text-to-park. The rates will be plain as day. We did talk about these particular rates, which I think as we look at different municipalities, these are reasonable and in line, and in some cases lower than. And then an additional help. So if somebody's just completely frustrated and they needed help right away, hey, where is this? Where is this store? We're going to be able to back them up with that too. That's the last number on the bottom. Then I think what you'll see on the latest item is we're going to put an additional line here that all handicap parking would be free. Now that's completely this board's decision. I would recommend that
Yeah.
handicap parking be free. Okay, so if we can go to slide 2, please.
We got slide 2, Justin.
I pretty much have to, I'm getting to that point where I do have to read here and not there. The next time I'll connect through a laptop. So there we go. Next one, please. There we go. I don't know if you can read that.
Can you zoom in a little more?
So I'll read it. I mean, what we're proposing is a one-day pilot, and I'll get back to that in a second. That would be October 13th with times from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. with rates of $1 an hour, or $5 for the whole day, which is a deal compared to the $1 an hour if they're staying long-term. They can pay by scanning, they can pay by texting, we talked about that. The vendor that we're now getting through the process is Honk Mobile, who is very, very experienced in this and offers this white labeling for Riverhead. Accepted payment types would be any credit card, Apple Pay, and PayPal, which is super convenient. I can demonstrate once we get up with our own code just how fast it is. You can park in under 10 seconds, the entire process. Whereas if you go to a meter, those of you that are gone meters, that can take 3, 4, 5. I've seen people at meters for 10 minutes. The parker simply enters their plate number, the length of time they'd like to stay, and the payment choice from above. They receive a digital receipt and a reminder when their time is up. So if they park for 2 hours, 15 minutes, or 1 hour and 45 minutes into that, they'll have a reminder, hey, time to re-up, or your session is over. There'll be a back-end cloud. No crazy programs. You'll just be able to log in from a website, and I would think it would be Dawn or who is deemed to be managing this can look at the different sessions that came in, either real time or this is Sunday, so it'll be the next week, and see exactly what happened during that process.
To renew to pay gives you a little time frame. Like if you pay for 1 hour parking, does the reminder come up like in 45 minutes saying you have 15
exactly
minutes
right.
to pay the second hour? Okay, or get to your car, right?
Yes, and we can adjust that for a 10-minute reminder, 15-minute reminder, whatever we like.
Okay.
As a tow truck is circling around the block.
We are standing at
We
your
don't
car
do
now.
that. We don't do that. There are certain locations that have booths and all kinds of. We're
We're
friendly.
not, we're
Just
not
the way
doing
you
We're not doing any of
Just
that.
the way you get reminded of a meeting. The meeting's in 30 minutes.
Exactly
or
right.
15 minutes
Yep.
on your
How
on your
does,
phone.
how does whoever is enforcing the parking, how do they know whether or not you paid for the day or you paid for an hour?
So that's an entire other session for sure, because we're not actually enforcing this parking
Right.
for this day.
No, I know, but
But in the
in the future,
in the
how
future,
is
the
that?
idea with this system would dovetail into a handheld system, and up would come the fact that that's
By
expiring.
plate.
Yeah, by plate, exactly. and location.
And
if we
location
decide
is-
to do zones.
The stalls would be numbered?
We would not
No.
number. Those
Okay.
days are over.
Just plate.
Yeah, it's plate.
Yes, please.
It's plate.
And then the ticket can get issued from the handheld if it's,
Yep.
so it's just a button. It's like you see in other places.
This is like the first, the parking, we talked about this before, it's about turnover, right? And then this is one of the three prongs, right? The payment and the cession of parking, adopting managed parking, the enforcement of, and policy surrounded by that. This is really a test of really surveying the public's reaction to this and businesses and seeing just how easy it is and reporting back to the town how it went.
And volume.
And
How much
volume.
we get.
How's the location determined if they're not numbered stalls?
Payment.
How will the officer know on the handheld where that car is that is expired at this point in time?
If it was one lot, it would be very easy. We'd just point the handheld, you would see the actual, that lot itself would be the managed lot. You would see that come up on the handheld. A town of this size would normally have ALPR, automated license plate reading, where a car goes through and immediately scans a plate and up comes, hey, this is permitted, this is paid, or this is not a paid session.
But I'm thinking like the Second Street parking lot, it's a pretty big parking lot.
Yes, it is.
So I'm the enforcement officer, I have the handheld, how do I know that your car is, or my car is expired?
So that's why I chose this next lot that I'm about to talk
Okay.
about, because it's more
Okay.
manageable, yes.
Okay.
You're exactly right, I'm gonna get to that. So these back-end reports will be available real time or the week thereof, so we can all look at it. Who will pay? So we think everyone should pay, with the exception of, and this is open for discussion, the employees or the store owners directly in back, or if you look at it, in front of this parking lot. We already talked about handicaps not having to pay, handicap parkers, and we could give a special code to anyone that we didn't think should pay on that particular pilot.
Might be the vendors the day of the fair, that we
Correct.
wouldn't charge them.
Right, but I think we would work along with the vendors, with the country fair management to not even park there, because we don't think, well, let me first say, the parking lot that I am recommending is the Griffin Avenue parking lot, because it's very manageable. It's 127 spaces, and it's contained, so we can do a proper pilot. The Second Avenue, the Second Street parking lot is huge. It would involve probably multiple people, which we could do, but it's 300 or more spaces. So to answer your question, we can contain all that data within that.
Gotcha.
Kevin, I like the Second Street because it only has two ways in and out, but that, I don't, and Griffin has what, one way?
Two.
Two.
It has two?
Two with
Do a lot of people use it? I know it.
It's our busiest lot.
On the day of the fair.
On the day of the
It's
fair?
our
Absolutely.
busiest lot year round.
Good.
People coming
So
from the west.
I sent a video to
Good.
Dawn yesterday at 2, what was the day before yesterday? It surprised me. Monday at 2 p.m. it was 100% full, which I
Great.
like. I
No,
like that.
okay.
Every single study
I was,
shows
yeah, I was
that
concerned
spot.
about the vendors, but they go into the Second Street parking lot.
One of the
Exactly.
things
Yeah.
with that lot is that there's some offices, so there's a lot of people that park all day there,
Yeah.
and there's not enough turnover for the businesses. Like Diggers really wants like a 2-hour turnover because it keeps them open for their customers. So that lot's always been kind of an issue. We want the people that are just, and this is like just parking strategy. You want the people that are going to be there all day to park further away. That, and as you get closer, it's a quicker turnover. Sorry.
No, that's good. That's good. Can we get this map up?
Can you put the map up? The parking lot aerial?
Down. Okay, this is the lot. At first, you're right. We talked about the Second Street lot. Then I went out and surveyed, and a few things I noticed. Number one, you have beautiful wooden signs already on this lot.
Thank you, Dawn.
Yeah, and so that counts, right? We want a good look. Riverhead, and I have a picture of it here if we need to see it. But what you're seeing here is 7 handicap spaces, which, by the way, is 2 more than you actually need by law. I'm just making that note. If you needed more spaces, you could by law get them. I think it's 1 per 20 spaces, so that's a possibility. The red would indicate where the Scan to Park signs would go. You have much better locations of lanterns or light poles here than you do the Second Street lot. So I noted that. The other item that's really important, and I will personally be there myself that day if we go through with this test from 8 a.m. at least till 8 p.m. We want to be able to tell people, hey, I don't want to pay for parking. If you just go across the street to the Second Street lot, there's 300 spaces there, it's free. So we have that ability to do that, and that's why I thought the change was necessary in that regard. And the third item here is the entry signs themselves, so we can clearly tell people, what's happening that particular day. So 127 spaces, 7 handicap. To answer your question, Mr. Supervisor, the idea of a small lot like this is you would take a handheld and you'd be a parking attendant and you would scan each individual plate because you're looking and you're seeing, hey, this car's been here a long time. But normally when you get into a lot of volume, you go into the ALPR where it's automated, right? Because he has to point that to each one. What we would do is if more lots than this were being enforced, we would go with an automated process.
So there's two ways to purchase. One, you're purchasing for an hour. The other one is you just staying there and then you purchase when you leave.
One way to purchase, but 2 ways to pay. One way to start a session, 2 ways to start a session, a scan to park or a text to park, and at least 5 different ways to pay. There's no paying in a system like this afterwards. That would normally would be garage related possibly.
So,
Sorry, did you want to talk quick about validation? Because I know that was something that some of the others, I don't know if you have that on your schedule to talk about, but.
So validation, the word validation would mean that someone would pay ahead of time, go into a restaurant, and then be validated.
I understand.
Such that they would be, and I don't know that we have the, we're already, in my time, we're 7 days past, like some of my time points. I don't know that we can get a validation system going, so what we would do instead is we would do a promo code. And that would just be given, there's not a lot of businesses there, I think there's less than 20. I personally met every single one of them already, so we would give them a code for their employees. But here's the thing, employees in fact should not even be parking in this lot in my mind. To me, this is a shopper's dream lot. Because you park here, you get out on Main Street and you shop.
You're hurting yourself if you
You're
allow
hurting
your
yourself.
employees to park there.
So my document to the business would politely say, please have you park in the back of Second Street. There's always space there, and let your customers park here. Because if somebody's paying to park here, they're usually here to shop. They're here because they want to be here and they have to be here. So that's kind of where we want to go with this, and that's the proper way to manage parking. It would not be to have the employees park on this lot.
but I'm sorry, I'm a little bit, and this, I know this is a test, but just so my brain is not on fog all
keep
day.
asking through it.
So I pull in, there's an attendant scans my plate.
No.
No, it's
Oh.
No.
I pull in and what happens?
You pull in and you see the
this.
nearest
I
red
scan.
door.
Yeah.
I scan. I don't pay until I leave,
No, when you scan, you pay.
but then I have to assume how many hours I'm gonna be there for.
And if you,
Yes.
and
You're
if
gonna
you
be here
stay
an hour,
longer,
or you're gonna be all day.
I
Bob,
see.
and what they said is if you just paid for 1 hour, you get a little notice to remind you your hour's almost up, and you can
That I
re-up.
understand,
On-
but if I pay for 1 hour,
Yeah.
right, and I'm there for 4 hours, to the supervisor's point, now I could get a ticket.
Correct.
Yes.
But you would have gotten
A
a
notice.
notice on your phone texted
And
to you
that I
that
can
says,
continue
do
paying.
you want to
But
re-up?
the band's really loud,
Okay, well, you got to pay attention then.
then,
Onus is on you. You know you paid
No,
for an
Yeah,
hour.
yeah, I think you know when you stayed more than
no,
an hour.
I'm just,
How
No,
much
no,
are you drinking in that hour that you're not gonna remember that you got?
So let's go through the
Then you should be back in the park. Then you got to pay for all
Let's
night.
go through conventionally. Conventionally, let's go back 20 years. No such thing as scan to park. You pay at a meter.
I get it.
You
Yeah,
get a
that's
receipt.
fine, yeah.
You used to put it in the dashboard.
Yeah.
Okay? But still, at some point, it expires, right? And so the officer would come over and look at the receipt and go, hey, you're an hour over, here's a ticket. With some grace period put in there.
with the license plate readers, right, does it just, is that a different system where you pull in, clock starts ticking, and when you pull out, that's what you're paying?
Yeah. The license plate, you put it in when you scan this code.
No, I'm
And then-
talking about down the road, I'm not
License
talking
plate
about
reader,
this
yeah.
test, I'm sorry.
Yes,
The system that you're speaking about would most likely be used in a multi-deck atmosphere, ecosphere, if you will, with permitted parkers. So if we decided down the line, the town decided that this segment of people, we won't even name that segment of people, that's to be determined, gets a yearly permit, you're right, they pull in, there's no problem, because the license plate reader said they're permitted. They pull in and out unobstructed from tickets. That's where the license plate payment is done, or authorization is better. It's prepaid parking, basically. Right? Just like easy
So
pass.
even with license plate readers, right, if I pull into that lot, I have to determine that I'm going to be there for an hour. So what if, I like the idea I go in there for 3 hours, and when I leave, and now it's charging me for the 3 hours, or 2 hours and 45 minutes, it doesn't do that.
I don't know of any systems that park that
just
way in
curious.
open lots. But you're asking a good question, because people often don't know exactly how long they're going to stay.
Closed lots at the airport. You go in, they give you, you get a ticket, you take the ticket out of the machine, it's time stamped. When you leave, you turn the ticket in, they charge you for the time you're there. That's, I think, what
Exactly
you're
what I'm
referring
talking
to.
about. I'm
Key point
surprised
being-
that, you
Key
know,
That's-
point being a gate.
Yes.
Almost impossible
Yes.
to do a gate.
well, I hope we have a gate at the garage.
Gate you'd have.
100%.
Gate you'd have at a garage.
But the thing that if you try to run it, you get flat tires.
But I think, too.
Well, we're not at that stage. This is just an
What do you
open
mean?
It's pretty
contest.
harsh there,
I
Bob.
think, you know, and I just want to point out, we're not ready to implement this town-wide yet.
Right.
It's just, we're ramping up and we're getting ahead of what we need to do so that
Correct.
when we do build the garage, we're ready. We know how much we can expect. We know with the input of the neighboring businesses, what they'll know what they can expect. They'll understand. We've been talking about paid parking for 5 years now with the businesses downtown. They understand and they're frustrated with the current situation. So if we can help by, you know, clearing lots with time frames that work and having a more efficient enforcement system, will really be effective in getting our downtown more able to be activated. So
I always hear
all-
the concern from the business owners, well, you're chasing my customers away because I have to pay to park. Where don't you pay to park? I mean, are they chasing customers away in Patchogue or Farmingdale or Port Jeff? Those places are packed. Those parking lots, you got to ride around to find a spot.
Yeah.
And it's all paid parking. So
And-
the fear that people aren't going to come to your business because I got to pay now to go in, it's just not realistic.
yeah.
And I think too, the point of this is that you're making people that are just illegally using that as their own personal parking
Absolutely.
space
That happens a
won't
lot.
be able to do that anymore. The lot will be freed up for customers that are going to the
That's
businesses.
happening.
And some of those businesses will be able to use a validation system that gets implemented where the customers that come for a restaurant or whatever won't need to pay. It'll be taken off the bill or somehow
Right.
other handled, but it's, you know, it's done everywhere, as you say. It's, you know, the garage will need will have operations and maintenance costs that will need to be covered. The taxpayers are not going to be the ones that are going to pay for that. It'll be paid for by the people that use the facility. And, you know, this is all part of making that happen. We want people to park once in the garage or in a neighboring lot and walk throughout downtown. We want that pedestrian activity. This is a part of how we get that to happen.
And providing the alternative for those that do want free parking is there. You're fortunate that you have that. The other communities that we spoke about
Yeah.
don't have those alternatives as much as you do. So, and we will implement that day. If, look, I'm not paying for parking. If we have that, it's not that far away.
Kevin, how did the 45-day trial go in Greenport?
I think they're in the midst of it.
Oh, they're in the midst of it
Yeah,
now.
they're in
It's
the
a
midst
good
of it.
time of year to do it. I would be, because I think that would be something that we would probably do next year. Would we do it? I think we need to do something like that, 45
Okay.
days.
Clicking through this as,
We'll have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, we should even decide, because these signs are very temporary in their nature, or have the ability to be temporary, but they could also, just so you know, they could stay up and parking could be turned off literally by the app itself. So someone could scan this and says, "Welcome to Riverhead, it's free parking today." Just, so that's the beautiful part about this. We can remotely control parking and rates and promo codes, all that. Can't do that with meters.
Right. Yes, right.
So we'll decide the details on that.
yep. a TBD, as they say.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with the pilot.
Yeah.
It'll be a good day to test it. Absolutely.
You'll know if I have bruises over here, then you'll know how it went.
Don't you hire people to get the bruises down?
That should be fine.
Yeah,
Good.
exciting.
Great.
We have some volunteers in the back, I think.
Devin will do it.
Yeah, Devin will.
Devin will do it.
Devin will do it.
I can stand out there with the sign like Carol Merrill, right? Here's Carol Merrill.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
And here's the sign, door number 1.
Yep. Excellent. Any
Thank
other
you.
questions, folks?
Good.
Super.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So this trial run for the public will be Sunday, the 13th of October. It will be the parking lot behind Diggers, and which is between Roanoke Avenue and Griffin Avenue. And would be $1 per hour or $5 for all day. You have your phone, you scan the code, it will tell you what to do. Everything else, you make your payment, and you're good to go.
And the parking lot is small enough where we're not gonna let anybody be unhappy. I can see from one side to the
Right.
other.
Right.
Right.
Okay?
You need
Good.
to change your sample. You're scaring everybody by saying $30.25.
Oh, God.
Just show the
Okay.
take.
Yeah. Well, the point of that is just
$5 max.
three different, but yes, we would have had that done, and we will have that done. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks so much.
Should I take this? I guess so.
Don't need 'em.
Okay, that completes our open session. I just have a couple announcements to make. Last night started the Jewish holiday of Rosh Hashanah, and we wish all those who celebrate a very happy New Year. We also acknowledge October is National Breast Cancer and Cancer Awareness Month. There are several walks this weekend scheduled on the North Fork. I suggest you check online to see where those are if you'd like to participate. And Saturday, October 5th, Grangeville Park from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. has their annual Oktoberfest, and there'll be live music by the Bratwurst Boys, and reflections in the park will be all lit up for the evening hours also. So if you're looking for something to do on Saturday, at 3 o'clock, the Oktoberfest starts. So other than that, I would say everybody...
There's
Go
one more
ahead.
thing.
Yep.
This Saturday is also Jamesport Fire Department's open house.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
What time is
James
that?
Sports Open House.
9 a.m.? 9 a.m., I think, till 12.
9 to 1, I thought.
Right,
9 to 1.
Okay. Jamesport Fire Department has their annual open house down at their station house on Manor Lane in Jamesport, and they have all sorts of good demonstrations there. And it looks like the weather is going to be good this year. It was a little soggy down there last year. And they also do their, I guess it's a yard sale
Yeah.
across the street in their building. So it's a good time down there. And I think that does it for our commercials for the town of Riverhead. Okay, everybody have a great week, great weekend, enjoy, and stay safe out there. We're going to make a motion to close open session in a second and go into executive session, and we'll be discussing matters surrounding utility obligations per contract with DIPAOLA, TESTA, and COYNE. And that's it. So if I could have a motion to close open session?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Open session is closed, and we will be retiring to executive session. Thank you, everybody.